The greatest strategic failure in creative design is the polish trap, believing that beauty is the primary driver of attention while ignoring the neurological fact that the brain is designed to ignore perfection and hunt for disruption. Okay, let's really dive into that because it's a big one. Just let that sink in for a second. Every single instinct we have as creators, right? Every brand guideline we follow, every dollar we put into production, it's all aimed at one thing: making something beautiful and perfect. We build these elaborate mood boards, we hire pricey agencies, and we obsess over every tiny detail to create something that's polished and professional. But what if that entire process, that whole pursuit of perfection, is actually the reason you're invisible? What if the beautiful, seamless ad you just spent a fortune on is actually wearing perfect camouflage? That's the huge, counterintuitive idea we are going to unpack. I mean, it's a tough question to face, isn't it? It kind of suggests that all our hard work might be pointed in the wrong direction. See, when you're scrolling through a feed, your brain is in survival mode. It's actively trying to ignore almost everything to save energy. And in this world where everyone has the tools to make something look perfect, beautiful is, well, it's just the new normal. It's become the background noise. Your perfectly designed ad doesn't stand out. It just blends into this endless sea of other perfect ads. Our brains, these ancient machines built for survival, they're not looking for harmony. They're looking for the tiger in the grass, the thing that's different, the break in the pattern. And today, we're going to learn exactly how to engineer that break with surgical precision. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig deep into the polish trap to see exactly why it's failing so many brands. Then we'll introduce the solution, a framework I call the Optical Disruption Loop. After that, we're going to get into the really cool stuff, the primal wiring of our brains, the evolutionary science that makes all of this work. Then we'll shift from theory to practice with a clear, step-by-step plan for mastering visual dissonance. And we'll wrap it all up with a conclusion that I promise will change the way you think about getting noticed. So let's start with this crisis that we're all living in. I call it uniformity saturation. 20 years ago, making something look professional was hard. It was expensive, you needed special gear, special skills. But today, those tools are literally in everyone's pocket. High-end cameras, pro-level editing software, design templates, it's all available to everyone. And the result is this ocean of content that all looks kind of the same. It's all well-lit, perfectly balanced, and totally forgettable. When everything is polished, nothing stands out. Your ad isn't failing because it's bad. It's failing because it's too polite. It's just too well-behaved to stop that thumb from scrolling. Now, this slide, this right here, it visualizes the entire battle for attention. On the left side, you've got aesthetic harmony. Look at these words: professional, seamless, safe. These are the words you see in creative briefs all the time. It's what we're told to aim for. But neurologically, these words are basically code for nothing new to see here, folks. It's a signal to the brain that it's safe to just ignore this and move on. But then, look at the right side. Visual dissonance, disruptive, jarring, contrasting. These words probably make most brand managers a little nervous, but for our brains, it's like setting off fireworks. It's a direct signal that something is different, something is out of place, and it demands our immediate attention. This isn't about taste, it's about biology. The harmonious is invisible, the dissonant is unmissable. And the part of your brain that's making these calls is a little network of neurons called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. The best way to think about the RAS is like a super strict bouncer at the club of your conscious mind. It's scanning billions of pieces of information every single second, and its only job is to decide what's important enough to get in. So when you're scrolling a feed, the RAS is on high alert. It sees your polished, harmonious ad that looks just like the 10 it just scrolled past. It immediately tags it as safe, known, and crucially, unimportant. And then it tells the rest of your brain to just power down and keep on scrolling. Your beautiful, expensive ad, it never even got past the bouncer. And how much time do you have to get past that bouncer? Less than 0.8 of a second. Think about that. Studies show that's the average amount of time you have to stop someone's thumb. It's literally faster than a conscious thought. It's pure reflex. In that tiny sliver of time, you can't explain your value prop. You can't build a brand connection. You can only do one thing. You can create a visual signal so jarring, so disruptive that it completely overrides the brain's automatic ignore filter. You have to create a neurological speed bump. And harmony just can't do that. Only disruption can. So this brings us from the problem to the actual solution. And look, the solution isn't just to be weird or different just because. It's about having a system, an engineered approach. And that system is the Optical Disruption Loop. This is not some creative philosophy, it's a technical framework. It's designed for one purpose and one purpose only, to exploit the primal wiring of our visual system to force the eye to lock on before the conscious brain can even say no. We are going to engineer that speed bump. This loop is built on 3 layers, and each one builds on the last. The foundation, the absolute bedrock, is luminance contrast, the pure power of light versus dark. The second layer is environmental dissonance, which basically weaponizes the very platform your ad is on. And the final layer is the Saliency Tunnel, which makes sure all that attention you just captured goes exactly where you want it. So let's break each of these down. First up, and this is the most important one, is luminance contrast. Our brains are hardwired to process the difference between light and dark, that's luminance, way faster than they process differences in color. So this isn't about red versus blue, it's about the raw physics of light. An extreme boundary, like pure white text on a pitch black background, instantly triggers these specialized neurons in our visual cortex called edge detectors. And this happens before you're even consciously aware of what you're looking at. Your visual system has already locked on. It is a biological reflex that you literally cannot control. Okay, let's build on that with the next layer, environmental dissonance. See, grabbing attention isn't just about your ad by itself. It's about how your ad looks compared to everything else around it. This principle is all about making your creative the visual opposite of the platform it's on. For instance, think about a platform like TikTok. It's all fast-paced, loud, chaotic videos, right? Your ad shouldn't try to be another one of those. Instead, it should be a dead silent, completely static, text-only image. Or if you're on a feed that's flooded with soft, warm photos, your ad should be harsh, cold, and geometric. You're intentionally making your creative the one thing that doesn't belong, which forces the brain to stop and figure out what's going on. And finally, we've got the Saliency Tunnel. Because stopping the eye is great, but that's only half the battle. You have to control where that eye goes next. Just splashing contrast everywhere creates noise, but strategic contrast creates a path. You use high contrast elements, like a bright yellow line in a black and white photo, or one single colorful object in an otherwise grayscale scene, to act like a visual funnel. This lets you channel the viewer's gaze, which you just captured in less than a second, directly to the most important part of your ad, the headline. You're not just stopping the scroll, you are taking control of their focus. So, we've gone through the what and the how, but now we need to get to the most important part, the why. Because understanding the evolutionary psychology behind all this is what turns it from a bunch of cool design tricks into a fundamental law of attention. This isn't about gaming an algorithm, this is about tapping into millions of years of human evolution. So let's go back to that idea of edge detection. For our ancient ancestors, survival literally depended on their ability to spot breaks in patterns. A field of tall grass was just a uniform pattern that was safe. But a sharp, high-contrast edge breaking that pattern, the outline of a lion's head, that was a life or death signal. The brains that were the fastest at spotting those edges were the ones that survived. We are the descendants of the most paranoid, edge-obsessed brains in history. So when you use extreme light and dark in your ad, you are literally hijacking that ancient survival And that whole idea of environmental dissonance, well, there's a fancy scientific name for it. It's a classic psychological principle called the von Restorff effect, or the isolation effect. And it's super simple. If you're shown a bunch of similar things, the one that's different is the one you'll notice and remember. If I show you a list of 10 words in black ink, and one word is in bright red, which one are you going to remember an hour from now? The red one, every time. By making your ad the visual opposite of the feed, you're just creating a powerful isolation effect. And let's be clear, this wiring is just baked into our DNA. It goes way beyond just spotting predators. Our brain's obsession with things that are different is its main job. It's about scanning a tree and instantly spotting the one ripe red fruit in a sea of green leaves. That's calories. It's about walking a path you know and immediately seeing a broken branch that wasn't there yesterday. That's a sign of danger. At its core, our brain is a difference detection machine. It's constantly asking, what's different here? And a high-contrast, dissonant ad is simply the loudest possible answer to that question. Now, here's the part that feels like a superpower. It's called pre-attentive processing. This is your brain's amazing ability to scan and understand your surroundings before your conscious mind has even decided what to look at. Think of it like your brain's autopilot. A high-contrast image is one of the very few things that can force a manual override, yanking your conscious mind to attention. And this is so crucial. By the time a user consciously even sees your ad and thinks, should I skip this? Their subconscious, pre-attentive brain has already seen it, locked onto the high-contrast edges, and probably even read the headline. You've already won the battle for attention before they even knew there was a fight.
Okay, we've gone deep on the theory and the psychology. Now, let's make it real. How do you actually put this stuff to work? It's time to move from knowing to doing. Let's turn this powerful idea into a simple, actionable game plan. Here is your 3-step guide to mastering visual dissonance. Step 1 is simple. Execute an environment audit. Before you even think about designing, open up the platform where your ad is going to live. Just scroll for 5 minutes. But don't look for inspiration. Look for the pattern. What are the common colors? How fast are the edits? Your whole job is to create the visual opposite of whatever you see. Step 2, apply the black and white threshold test. When your ad is done, just convert it to grayscale. Do the most important parts, the headline, the product, still pop? If it all just turns into a muddy gray mess, your contrast was based on color, not light. It'll fail. And step 3, measure thumb stop velocity. Forget impressions, forget likes. The only metric that actually matters here is your hold rate, specifically your 3-second video view rate. That number tells you, point blank, if your speed bump worked.
And this really requires you to change your entire mindset. You'll know you've truly mastered this when your jarring, maybe even ugly creative, consistently and dramatically outperforms your polished, beautiful, brand-safe stuff. Success is no longer about what looks good in a deck to your boss. Success is about the cold, hard data of human attention. You have to be willing to trade conventional beauty for neurological impact. Disruption is the only currency that matters. All right, let's bring this all home. The polish trap is very real, and it's eating up marketing budgets everywhere. The way out isn't to make things prettier. It's to understand the science of being seen. The big takeaway here is a total shift in your approach. You don't ask for attention. You don't politely request it. You seize it instantly. When you apply these principles, you're doing so much more than just making an ad. You're actually transforming your creative from just more background static into a genuine neurological event. You're creating something that the human brain, because of its very design, literally cannot ignore. It's the application of hard science to the messy, chaotic world of our digital feeds.
And in the end, it really all boils down to this simple truth. The best marketing never feels like it's pushing you. It feels like an irresistible pull. It pulls you toward value, not by being the loudest, but by being the one thing in that sea of noise that is so visually arresting, so neurologically powerful that you can't help but see it. So now you have the blueprint. You have the science. You understand the primal triggers that control human attention. The question isn't how to be seen anymore. The question is now a choice. The choice to keep making beautiful, invisible things, or to start engineering things that are truly unmissable. So I'll just leave you with this. Now that you know the secret, what are you going to build?